Hey, good morning, Scrapbookers. It's Katie Scott, and yesterday I got a comment on my blog. My blog is Kiss and Tell Scrapbooking, and let's just go see what the comment said. If you just do kissandtellscrapbooking.com, it is a typepad blog, but we just turned it into just a .com, so that makes it a little easier. So this is my blog, and let me see where that comment was. If you're ever looking for the comments and you don't want to look through all of this kind of stuff in the posts, there's just a section here called recent comments, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was from Jennifer C. Let's see what she said. Okay, so this was on the post, the Century Scrapbook Project episode 4, organizing a timeline, and she says, let's see, oh, here we go. Where would you look for stories when you aren't getting anything from your family? I have been asking, but either they have Alzheimer's, some do, or some don't want to share. It is really depressing. I have always been interested in the stories and don't care much for the dates, but I really like the stories. So, Jennifer, we also have Alzheimer's in both sides of my husband and I's family. His grandmother and my grandmother both had Alzheimer's, and it is a very sad, can be long process, and I feel for you. The interesting thing about Alzheimer's, depending on what stage the person's at, is they can really remember a lot of the older memories. So my father-in-law has not been diagnosed, but he most likely has Alzheimer's. And I can still talk to him. He did this cool thing where about 10 years ago, he wrote his autobiography, and I don't have it handy, but I took all of those stories, and I know that's unique and that's probably not your situation, but I took all of those stories and found pictures on the internet and linked them up. And he loves looking at that book. I gave it to him last Christmas. But this is what I would do. Most likely you know your own birth date. So I would probably just start there. Okay, so my birth date is 1970. And so one thing you can do is just Google what was happening in 1970. And we're getting thepeoplehistory.com. Wikipedia is a good place to look. There's one called In the 70s. I'm going to just check on Wikipedia because that's an easy place to look. Let me just make sure you're still on. Oops, that's not it. Where did I go? I don't know where I am. Yeah, I'm okay. So you're still getting me. We're getting my husband coming through. We just got back. Okay. Hello. I made coffee. Can you bring me a cup?
Are you on camera?
I'm on camera. Okay. But my voice is going a little bit. So, okay. So back to the 70s. So you could really just get into Wikipedia and put in a date. So it says the 1970s, pronounced the 1970s, was a decade that started on January 1st, 1970 and ended on December 31st, 1979. This was the 8th decade of the 20th century. In the Western world, social progressive values that began in the 60s, such as increase, and so it kind of, one thing you could do is just like right click on all of that, and like maybe even the picture, and then just print that. I'm not actually going to choose to do that right now, but that would be one way of doing it. Or if you knew your mother's or your father's, I don't think, just don't be so silly. Okay, I can't even see it, but now, can you bring me a napkin? Please. Sorry. Good morning. I don't do creamer anymore. Did you notice? No. It's okay though. Thank you. Thanks for selling. Okay. Sorry about that. I've been on a cleaning kick because I'm in the masterful scrapbook design critique. Doris Sanders said something about polishing your layout, and I've extrapolated that to my house, so I've been cleaning like crazy. Okay, Jennifer. So that's one option, is just start with your own birthday and then kind of stem from a. So how I would find a story. So let's just go with this. How would I find a story from the? Because you typically, I don't remember 1970, even though I was born in 1970. So perhaps what I want to do. This is like the 1970s, so I'm going to search in Wikipedia just 1970 and see. Oh, cool. They've got an events and, oh, wow. Okay. The first episode of the soap opera All My Children is broadcast on ABC. And yesterday, I used to watch All My Children for a little bit, and my mother-in-law did too. But I watched The Young and the Restless, and yesterday there was the 10,000th episode, and I had been meaning to look up when that started because I actually wanted to use that as part of it. So there's where I found not a story about like my family history, but a story from history that I would not necessarily think of otherwise. Let's see what was happening. I was born in June. Let's see what was happening in June. A 2-man spacecraft is launched in the Soviet Union. Norway announces its rich deposits off the North Sea coast. Tonga gains independence from the United Kingdom. A D-Day celebration is held in Washington, D.C. on my birthday. The Who became the first act to perform rock music, their rock opera Tommy, at the Metropolitan Opera House. So far, none of these are really like super. I don't get a real giant story from this, but I really want to go with that story about The Young and the Restless, but I might not today. The Isle of Wing Festival in 1970. Artists include Jimi Hendrix, The Who, Doors, blah blah blah. See, still none of these are super exciting to me. But what I would recommend that you do is just go through that year and see if something hits you, or you could tell a story that maybe even related to your life if you don't have the stories from your grandparents or your mom and dad. Yeah, none of these are. I don't know. Let's try a different site perhaps, and just see if something else. Like, what was happening in 1970? And let's say in music. Okay, so maybe, like, in music, top 10 songs of June 1970. See if that comes up with anything. The Billboard top songs of the 70s. And what I want to be a little bit careful of is when you're searching, if you get to like some oddball searches, sometimes they'll put in like spyware. So I like to stick to the bigger ones. So here's Wikipedia. Oh, cool. Okay, so this will tell you what the top song is. So you can see like what the top song was when you were born. And mine was Everything is Beautiful by Ray Stevens. And I don't know that song. My husband probably knows that song, but I don't. Right before it was American Woman, and right after was The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles. So I know those two songs. That's kind of cool. I think I want to like do this list, but I'm just trying to think of the best way to. Because I remember a lot of these. I wonder if I can. I don't. Well. how I can print this is the thing. I don't know. Not sure how I print it. But that could be a fun way, just to pick one of those songs, maybe one that you like, and tell a story about that. Another way, and just see if I make sure I'm still on here. Looks like I am. And I see you're not really getting, you might not be getting a great picture of this, but chances are you have a computer. Okay, so those are a couple ideas for just starting with your own dates. But then if you really wanted to, I think your question was more like, what do I do with old family stories? And one way I've been able to find old family stories is by using the census. And I am not like an expert genealogist by any stretch, but let's just see if I have one already printed up. I do. Okay. This is the census from 1935. And the way that you can find the census is if you go into Ancestry.com, then you can look up your people and find the census and then print it out. So here's one that I already have printed out, and this is actually on my husband's family. And we've been actually having some trouble with his family history because his parents really just knew like their own parents, but they really don't know like where they, beyond that. It's very difficult. So this is a population census from 1935, and it's just a printout. So I could almost like cut the border. So I printed it out. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the border. I'm going to cut it down so I can put it on pretty paper. Did a page recently where I didn't put any scrapbooky things on it. I got some complaints. Like, where's the embellishments? Which I don't think you really need, but hey, we are scrapbookers. So I'm going to cut around the census, and then this part of the census I don't really care about. I just care about my husband's family part of the census. So I'm going to use this part to put photos on. And probably I just want to use, because this is his mother, a picture of her. And it might not be even from 1935. And I'm going to pretend that I don't know any stories about her life. Which I don't know a whole lot. Let's go with this. So I just keep a little notebook of where, like, if I print out a census, that's where it goes before I really do anything with it. So just reading the census, it says in 1935, her father, George, was 58 years old. He was the head of the household from Ohio. He was of Irish descent, I think. No, he graduated from high school, and he owned his home, and he was retired. Her mother, Susie, was 52 years old. She was the wife. She was from, I'm pretty sure she was actually from Wales, but there was no way you could tell that from this. It's just this little scribble. You'd never be able to figure that out, I don't think. She finished grammar school, so she did not finish high school, and she was a housewife. And then Ethel, my mother-in-law, lived with her 2 sisters and 1 brother. So her brother was 24, still living at home. He graduated only from grammar school, and he worked as a baker. Nellie, her sister, was 15 years old and was in high school, and her other sister, Adrienne, was in high school, and Ethel was in 5th grade at that point. Is Mac in 5th grade? My son is in 5th grade. 5th and 3rd. Oh, Yes, he's in 5th grade now. So that's when, So how do I find a story from this? And you know what's so funny is they've got an occupation for her. And I can't even read it. Huh. That's so weird. She's 10 years old and they've put down an occupation for her, but not her 2 sisters. But I can't read what the occupation is. It looks like glunoids, but that's not really a word. So let's look up 1935. And let's just go back to that, probably Wikipedia. Just gonna Google it, 1935. And I'm just gonna do, since we're in St. Petersburg, Florida, 1935, St. Petersburg, Florida. And I might put in history just so I'm not getting addresses. City directories, historic Coast Guard, airfields, Moss Brothers. Huh. Okay, that's kind of a. Oh, well. Let's see that one. Moss Brothers was a leading chain in Tampa, founded by Abe and Isaac Moss in 1886. I don't know. I don't think that's a. I mean, I'm sure I could make a story out of it, but that's not what. I don't think that's helping. Oh, you know what I could do? I know what I could do. Oh, they don't have the address in here. Yes, they do. Okay. 2363. They have the address. 2363 13th Street. Let me Google that. (2363) 13th Street, St. Petersburg, Florida. Okay, and then you can just go into Google Maps. Just gonna hit that. And then this would be the photo. And I really love to print those photos. And of course, it's gonna look different today than it did then. Let's just click there. Oh, yep, street view. Okay. There we go. So that's where she lived. Oh, isn't Google amazing? 24th Avenue South. I think we've driven by here there's a park down here. Okay, you can actually see, and I've heard stories from her, but she used to go swimming in this lake called Lake Magori, and there's I've been there with my kids, and there's like a whole mess of alligators in that lake, and they used to swim even though there were alligators in that lake. So there's her house, her old house, and seeing the best way to print this, because I'm not really sure they let you print it. I like it with the trees in it, I think. Yeah. If there's a way to print this, I don't know what it is. Oh, here it is. But, you know, I think usually it just prints the, I don't really think it prints what I want it to print. I just don't. So this is a weird way I do things. Turn your flash off, and then with your point and shoot camera, and try not to get any glare. I'm getting lots of glare. Oh, that's horrible. Don't do that. Another way to do it. I know there's a way to screen capture. See, I'm okay with the computer, but I'm not awesome. I don't know every way to do everything. But I know I can go into my Google Maps on my iPhone and put that address in. Right? So we're 23, 63, oops, 63 space 13th compelling radio or podcasting, or whatever this is. What is this called? Ustreaming. But I kind of want to just share you the process of just keep going. You know, don't stop. St. Petersburg, Florida. Okay, I think there's a way to like satellite hybrid. I guess I just like zoom in. Here it is. I get a street view on this thing. I'm getting a different view. Well, that's annoying. But I can kind of see like, here's the house and there's that big lake. It is a big lake. Well, oh, okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take a screenshot to show the lake. Yep, that works. And then let me do a little shot of this house from here. That may work better. Come on. Couple. And then another idea is, I know this story, so I don't know if you know any stories whatsoever, but I know that Ethel used to she used to swim in that Lake Magori, and I think it would be funny, and I think I might even have some photos of those, because let me see, I lost a bunch of photos recently, but I think I still have some photos from May when we went down there to May 2012. Yep. So hopefully. My daughter and I went on a field trip to that lake. And that's why I think we even drove by that same house. But I don't see... This is May 2012. My computer crashed in like April and I lost 3 years of pictures, which is not awesome. Well, that's the last day of school, so I'm not sure I've got this. It might be gone forever. But I do try to upload every Friday and do some prints. And that's a really good habit to get into. Oh, okay, here's April. That's promising. Okay, here we are at Easter. And Busch Gardens, and we went to Durango, and then we went to my old college. Okay, here's one. This is a different field trip. And a couple field trips, And what I really want to see is an alligator sign. And I'm pretty sure I have a picture of an alligator sign. And I would love it if it was from the Lake McGorry. But there are ways to find those pictures if you don't even have them. Which I might not have them. I think I do, but I'm not sure. No, I don't have it. So, but I did take one. It's gone. So I'm going to go back to the internet and just check I'm still here. And so now I'm going to go to, just going to minimize this. And let's go to photos, just in Google, of Lake McGorry. I don't think I'm spelling that right. In St. Petersburg, Florida. Okay. Hotels in Lake McGorry. Images. Okay, so now I'm getting the images, and what I really want is an alligator warning. An alligator warning sign, I would say. Warning, do not come. Wow. Warning, do not come here. Wow. Warning, do not come here seeking work. A city's first duty is to employ its own citizens. Official notice, Home Patronage Committee, St. Petersburg, Florida. And that a sign in the 1930s reflects the Depression era. That's a story. That's where you can find a story. Okay? So I want to save that image. I'm gonna put that into like I have a folder for Ancestry. Save. And I just use Picasa to edit. That's awesome. So that's gonna go on my page for sure. Okay, not that that was awesome, but that gives you a flavor of how life was. And just looking at her neighbors, we have housewife, retired. There's a lot of retireds. There's real estate, office manager, maid, housewife, clerk, housewife, retired, cook, and I think another baker. So it was like a working class neighborhood, I would say. So here we are. This is the St. Petersburg Times. Okay, that's a good thought. Look at the paper. Let's see. This is St. Petersburg, 1924. Wow, like it was like there was nothing there. But let's find something about 1935, which is when she was 10. There's 1946. But what year was your mom born? What was it? I know she was 88, but what year was she born? Your dad was born in 1920, so is it 1924? So we're guessing. Let's look. Because this is a picture of 1924. So that's cool. I also have the 1920 census. That's also for her. Yep, and she's not born yet. And they were, let's see if they were living at the same place. So you can really look at these censuses and see, well, where were they living, and then look up in the newspapers to see what was going on at that time. I I don't have her date of birth, which is so weird. But I bet you it was around 1924. But I'm just gonna kind of stick with the 1935 census. I wonder why it's 35. I thought they just did it every 10 years. Huh. So this is a whole history of St. Petersburg, where we live. And I'd almost like to print this whole thing out and just leave it in the page protector behind. That's what I think I will do. It says an error occurred. I don't know if I can print this. Let's try that again. This is where the internet annoys me. I'm like, how do you do this? Okay, let's try to right click it and see if I can just dump it into Word Perfect. Copy? Okay. I wonder if no, there's no like little thing for print. Word Perfect. So sometimes it might take you like a little bit of research and a little time to do it, but it doesn't have to take like a year. You know, you can just take a little something and get started. Yep, that worked. Didn't bring in the photos. But that still gives me the history of St. Petersburg, which would be cool to have in my, so I just wrote in the history of St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm going to bold that and just make it fill space. And I really don't want to print many pages, so I'm going to just make the margins a little smaller. And it didn't bring in the pictures. And I'm going to take out like the hyperlinks. And that was, okay, cool. That works. And this was an article from 1999. Okay, so potential landowners gather in 1924 at the site of the land auction near Lake Vista, south of Lake Magori in St. Petersburg, which is like pretty much where they lived. And if she was born in 1924, like they were there, and I think she said something about her grandfather or her dad was a builder, I think, because I want to say she said he built where the building was where my husband and I went to law school at Stetson. I have to ask her about that. So if you can like find an old, some sparks of those old times, and then even ask, and my mother-in-law does not have Alzheimer's, she's quite with it, but my father-in-law, if you ask him about these old times, chances are he would he would remember like a lot of stuff from back then. He doesn't necessarily remember 5 minutes ago, but he does remember like what he did when he was 10. So it just depends on the stage, Jennifer, I think, how far along they are. But even up until the end with my grandmother, she would, you know, talk to an imaginary John, who was not not the slang kind of John, but she had a brother John, sorry, who she would talk to him in her imagination, and I think those old memories really stick. So 6 pages. I don't really want to have like this much text. I might just make the rest of this font a little bit smaller, which is going to be a little bit harder to read, but you know what? If somebody really wants to read this, they will. And if they don't, they can, it's just going to be behind. So they can just get out their magnifying glass. Because I don't want these pages to be like too bulky. There we go. Okay. Just going to print this. If I can. Here we go. Print. Oh, document. Okay. So I've sort of found my story. And now I'm going to start scrapbooking. Even though I don't know all of it. Okay? Like, I don't have to know everything about that time period to get one page done. And I think that's important because with the family history, it can really feel like this overwhelming job. And that's why I think if you just like make it, like cut it down to its little parts, that it can help. So that took 37 minutes to find a story. So that took less time than you watch The Young and the Restless, if you watch The Young and the Restless, which I do. Pixely. So now I'm going to, I'm getting all those pixels. There we go. So I'm just going to cut this census down, which I already had printed. And now I have like, and what I might even do on the page is just have it like, have this be down so this history of St. Petersburg shows up. I think that's what I'll do. And then I want to put this census on like some kind of a cardstock and then make it into a pocket page. Okay. Kind of getting the beginning. So I want to cut, even though I have small margins, I'm going to make them even smaller on the printout. And so if I was doing this again, I might not have made the margins so smaller. And I think I'm going to make it so, since there's 4 pages, I'm going to make it just be 2 pages. So I'm going to paste the pages together. And I think I'm just going to do that with some glue stick. And I'm sorry I would move the camera, because I know you're just getting a whole lot of my screen, but it's just, my camera's a little tweaky. I should probably update. But it works for now, and that's a huge concept. Is don't let like your technology or your lack of stories or your lack of supplies stop you if you want to find those old stories. Like, just keep going. Just like one step in front of the other, and you'll find them. You really will. I found some really interesting things that my mother and my aunt hadn't known about, and I've found some really cool stories. And I didn't even get into Ancestry.com, but that's such a huge resource. That's where I got the census. So I would definitely say go into Ancestry.com. Maybe I'll do that on another day in one of these videos. I didn't paste that down. Totally right. Oh, that's annoying. Don't let that stop you. Just keep going. That's a huge. So this is definitely not perfect. That's okay. You can still, if someone was interested, they can still get that. They would still read it. Or they could just look it up on the computer themselves. But they would know where to find it. So I don't print out everything, but I do like to print out some. And since I have done the highlighting already on this one, I am going to just take out my highlighter and highlight a few things in the history of St. Petersburg that are relevant to my mother-in-law, and it will also kind of remind me. So when Henry Plant bought his railroad to nearby Tampa, Diston pushed for a westward extension to his city, but Plant proved wary of his peninsular competition. The railroad was instead routed to what would be later known as St. Petersburg, and Diston, out of money, tired, and sparring with his Tampa rival, he later shot himself while sitting in a bathtub in Philadelphia. Some things never change. The collapse of Diston's speculative dreams is but one piece of the booms and busts, scams, hammy promotions, and simple hard work that by the end of the 20th century had carved the Tampa Bay area into one of the faster growing economies in the country. Nobody said rapid expansion is pretty. Blah 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 blah. Hold on. Potential landowners gather in 1924 at the site of a land auction near Lake Vista, south of Lake McGorry in St. Petersburg. Developer promoted homes on the vast tract of land. That's when my mother-in-law was born in 1924. And that's where she lived. So that's pretty important. So I have highlighted that. And then this article kind of goes into the current history too. But I just want to know, a sign in the 1930s reflects the Depression's effects on St. Petersburg. Warning, do not come here seeking for work. You know what's sort of funny and sad is this article was written in 1999, and it's talking all about how Tampa's having, the Tampa St. Pete area is having like this awesome time and we're making lots of money. And then the current recession, like I think St. Petersburg is one of the hardest, the Tampa St. Pete areas is one of the hardest hit. So it's a roller coaster down here in Florida. It really is. Okay. It goes into Jack Eckert, and that's where I went to school. Oh, here we go. In alligator hides. There's some things about alligators. And that was probably the story I wanted to tell, but I don't know. And I don't really know what the effect of the Depression was on her family. I don't really hear her talking about that. as my grandparents talked about it quite a bit. And my grandparents and my in-laws are about the same age, just because my husband and I have an age gap. Okay, so now I want a picture and some cardstock, and here's the story. So the story isn't even necessarily specific to us, but it might help later after I talk with her, and then I can refer back to it. Or if I never refer back to it, that's okay too. So I'm just gonna grab some paper, and I have just some paper organized that I call vintage paper. And so I think I'm gonna pull a vintage paper out. Pull the first one I come to. This thing is chock full, which means I should probably, okay, well here's some yellow. See if the yellow corresponds, even though it's, no, it kind of doesn't. 'Cause this is way too bright yellow. Let's see if I can, maybe this one. I don't know. It's a little weird, but I think it'll, well, let's just see if we can. I'm not loving it. Man alive, this thing is full. This thing is full. Okay, I'm going to take this little mini album out and put it somewhere else. That makes it a little easier to get through. So the article was really talking about land development. So a map might be cool. That could work. I want a map though that's going to be on some heavier weight cardstock. And I have a lot of maps in this folder that are just on like kind of cheap paper, and that's not really not what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, I got this cutest Love Elsie paper at the last scrapbooking yard sale I went to. It's so adorable. Maybe I'll use that. Let's do that. Even though it doesn't really have anything to do with 1924. It was so cute, I remember. It was, I actually went and sold some things down at the yard sale, the scrapbooking yard sale. And the girl with the booth across from mine had this Love Elsie stuff, and it's like, it's cardstock, it's embossed cardstock. This is embossed with cupcakes. But I'm not going to use this, but this is self-adhesive, and it's Love Elsie from 2007, and it has, it's like, it's fabric with the little houses. Isn't that, that's so cute. I think I might need to use this, definitely. Maybe not the I Love Art, but this is the Creative Kit Jack and Abby. This works. Although the paper isn't really as thick as I would like it to be. Some of it is, it seems like, and some of it's not. This works. Yeah, it's still not. And there's some cardstock that's embossed with houses. So those things work, and they're kind of goes in with the whole theme of, I'm pretty sure that Ethel's dad, George, was a builder. And in 1924, they started building where she would live. So, yeah, so this is going to be like some kind of a pocket. Normally I would say, like, I don't want to waste it, but you know what? would be okay. It's okay. Normally I would just say like cut a line of it, but I really want something thicker. Huh. Decisions. I think what I want for the back, though, is just a cardstock or a cardstock that has a map. And so let me look in my travel for just a second. Okay, this is the point where, you know you have something, like, I'm sure I have that kind of cardstock that I'm looking for, but if you can't find it, just stop. Just stop trying and, like, pick something basic, like a cardstock that's just a neutral color. I'm just finding black up there. Whoops. I need like a cream color or a card, like a craft, I think. Let me find a craft. Oh, this is taking way longer than I wanted to. Sorry. Okay. Okay, this is not craft, it's just like a brown, but it's got a little tone-on-tone flower. That's fine. This will work. So I'm thinking this is going to be my 8.5. Oh, and it has a cute little sewing detail on it. 8.5 by 11. Great. Guess I should just leave that out. And now I want this to be living in here, so barely any of this is going to show. Huh. You know what? I think I'm going to change my mind again. I really wish these papers were slightly thicker than they are. It's really kind of a bummer. These are not thick enough either. Okay, this is going to be taking up way too much space on the page, and I thought about cutting it or covering it up, but I think instead I'm just going to fold it so that I'm just seeing like the part that I want to see. So I just made that smaller, but I'll just nail down that part so if somebody wanted to read it, they could. They wanted to read the rest of it. And that, I might even, that might be in the pocket. Maybe. Yeah, I'm thinking this, all of this is just too large. I'm going to do some folding, which is making my page like kind of thicker than I would like it to be. That's all right. So there's the history of St. Petersburg and then the census, and I've like condensed them down. And now I almost think, like, instead of a pocket like this, man, that's so thick. Yeah, I do kind of want it like this. And so my pocket's going to be going this way. I gotta tell you, I'm not in love with my page. And I need a picture of that house printed out, I think. All right. Oops. My cutter isn't in the normal place today. I'm trying to injure myself here. Tall, and then I don't want it to be, I think I want it to be really obvious that it's a pocket, so I'm not going to make it as wide. I'm going to make it by 8. Ta-da. Super exciting, right? Closer. And the sewing machine out. So sometimes the stories don't come easily, but I'm still only, even though this is like kind of a long and boring news stream, I'm still only 57 minutes for getting something down that's going to go in this Century project that might not tell like a whole complete story, but will in the context of the whole project. And so I don't and might help to tell other stories. So this is, you know, not really my favorite page by any stretch. I'm not like super excited about this page, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm getting, and it'll be interesting to show her, like, to see if if that sparks something like a conversation with her. The other part of your comment, Jennifer, was the reluctant people, the people who don't want to talk about stuff. And I'll tell you, there was This American Life, I think it was This American Life podcast from a couple weeks ago. It was like the Ballad of Bobby McGee. It wasn't the Ballad of Bobby McGee, but it was some like old story about this boy who had been kidnapped, and this lady started researching her family history, and some of her relatives like really didn't want to get into it, but she like kept pushing, and she like solved the whole mystery. It's so amazing. And then she met all of these relatives that they didn't really even know they had, and like ultimately she said she kind of felt like part of it was really awesome, and then part of it she felt like a failure because she actually alienated some of her family with digging into it. So there are like good and bad. There's pros and cons with digging. But I would, if I had to choose, I would choose the digging. Obviously. also, if you have relatives who really don't want to be involved in your process, don't involve them, you know, and don't put their stuff out there, and don't include them. Which is kind of sad, but keep doing your thing. I'm not getting the alligator story in here, but that's all right. I am getting the story of like building a lot of building was going on back then, and the house motif goes on with that, and the article. I really like to use machine stitching for pockets, so then you don't have any of that like problem with glue. Just have and this would be a good place to put some tabs. And I didn't really leave a lot of margins, so in retrospect, margins would have been good. But I think what I'll do is just put it on some parts that maybe aren't, that it won't be covering up a ton. So here, and here. And if you're going to buy punches, this is a really good punch to buy. It's a punch that makes the tabs. And now I want to get into some of this funner paper. And I want to bring some color into this page because it feels like there's not a lot of color. So one of the punches I'm going to make has the stripe. And these don't need to be quite as sturdy. So the only thing that's okay. I was going to say I don't like this because I can't really write on it, but I can put a little sticker over it for the writing part. So there's one little tab, and I think it would be cute to sew those down. And even though I have used, you really shouldn't use glue and then use your sewing machine, but I do anyways. And it's not recommended, but I do it and it seems to be okay. So there we go so far, and I think I want different. You know, this paper really, yeah, I'm just going to use it anyways. It really doesn't scream 1935, but I kind of like it anyways on here. Yeah, I kind of take that back what I just said about the sewing machine. I don't think my sewing machine really liked that. Okay. But here I go again with the glue. I really should have left myself some better borders. Lesson learned. Okay, so I'm covering up words. Sorry. Not that alright. I don't. Yeah, I'm not thrilled, but I'm gonna. It's okay. I'm not thrilled about the way I've done this. So my advice is, do not scrimp on your borders for your any kind of a printout. Just leave them, because I'm going to make this page bulky anyways. Oh well. So I totally take back what I wish I would have done it differently. And I was talking with some of the scrapbookers recently about making pages, and was in the Master Calls Scrapbook Design, that class that I'm taking, and they were like, well, that's when I would do a redo. And yeah, I guess if I was trying to make some perfect page that was going to go into a magazine or something like that. But if I'm just making scrapbooks for myself, redoing it would kill the fun for me. So part of what I'm doing here is not just recording stuff, it's also fun. So I need to keep it fun, so I don't, I would not do it over. That's just me. I would just live with the, it's not perfect. Yep. Okay, so I feel like my voice is going a little bit, and this is going really long, but if you're crafting too, that's a good way to watch my videos. My videos aren't really for watch everything I'm doing. It's just more like look up occasionally. And I don't talk the entire time. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. That's just how I do it. So there's my pocket. There's some information. And I'm gonna see, she had these really cute, this is one of the things that really attract, oh, look at this cute. Oh, I'm totally using that side. This had all sorts of words. This is one of those papers where you're like, oh, I don't want to waste it. It's awesome on both sides. It is awesome on both sides. So I want to see if any of these little words would fit into the, and I'm pretty sure she's not going to have census. But I can use family instead of census. That will work. And then I can use home, and I might even use mailbox. I don't know. Daily routines, slippers, happy home. There's a home. So even though these aren't really describing exactly what they are, that's okay. Because it'll still do the job of like, oh, I wonder what that's about. And then, you know, sometimes even if it's not completely exact, if somebody saw that page and they were like, oh, well, you totally got that wrong, but then they'll tell you how it's right, and then there's your story. There's a funny little way. So I'm looking for family, meals, home, family photos. So it's a family though. And I'm going to use that. The family on the census, and then the home. And I really should have taken that picture of the Depression and like put it in there. It might go on. I might print it out for the front though. We'll see. Family, home. We'll do memories. That's a nice little generic sort of word. Let's see one near the edge. I don't want to like kill this paper too much. Home sweet home. Oh, come on. Let me just cut this little house out instead. Okay, so I've put the embellishment over the tab. I'm just going to sew it back down a little bit. There we go. Okay, now is the point in the layout where I'm getting like, oh my gosh, let it just be over. Because I'm so done. But what I really want for the front, and the way that like having this the Century Project notebook is really helpful, is that I know I'm gonna put the year, and I know I just need a couple of pictures, and the newspaper article for me is really like the journaling on the page, so I didn't even have to do it. And all I really want is, I want a picture of the house and a picture of her, and maybe even that "don't come here looking for work" sign, because that shows like the sign of the times. And the year is 1935, which is when that sign was. Just Google like when the Great Depression, what those years were. 1910 to 1960. I don't think it was that long. Okay, 1929 to 1939. So 1935 is like right smack dab in the middle of the Great Depression. Wall Street crash of 29. So you get to learn a little history in this Century project. Let's just see, like 1935 specifically. I'm still in Wikipedia. 1935. I like these timelines, but it doesn't really give me a flavor for the whole year. Oh, Amelia Earhart flies from Hawaii. Cool. The Labor Day hurricane of 1935. The strongest hurricane ever to strike the United States landfalls in the upper Florida Keys as a Category 5 storm. Wow. I might write some of that stuff down on that pretty paper. That I didn't want to rip. That I didn't want to, mess up. But that's going to be my... And then I really want to use this to kind of tack it down. This cute stuff. Bordery or a banner. What do you call those things? Like a banner. And then like tacking it down a little like this. Maybe. Yeah, it's gotta go like that. And then I think my numbers are going to go here, and I have no idea where pictures are going to go. Maybe if I move this over here and then put the pictures very small that way. Let's do that. I don't know. Maybe the pictures are going to go like that across the top. Yeah, I think that'll work better. Okay, so I print my pictures in Picasa, and so I want a picture of my mother-in-law, and let's see what I've got. And I used to have my pictures organized so well, and now they are such a mess. Truly. It's so sad. I just want a picture of her by herself. Just gonna lighten her up a little. And I was gonna say I'm gonna put it into black and white, but I think I'm just gonna leave her in color. And then I think I want more than, I want the picture of her house. And yeah. So where did I find that? I took a picture of it here. Okay, this is my little trick when I can't figure out how to do a screen capture on my computer, is I will take a picture with my iPhone, and then I'm going to email this to myself. And then I'm going to email that map that I found of Lake Magori. Email that one too. So I've got, like, it's the Depression. I've got a picture of her now, not then. And then I've got where the house, like the map of where the house was and the house. That works. So usually I would like to have an odd number, but I think in a strip it'll work with 4. Okay. So now I have to go in here, back in to my Gmail. And get those pictures. Save image as, right here. Sometimes it's so weird because sometimes I can get something off the internet and find it so easily, and then edit it in Picasa, and then other times I can't, and I don't know why. It's so frustrating. And so I want this picture, but now it's not going to work. It's so annoying. Okay, I'm just going to print that picture by itself and waste a whole piece of paper. Oh well. That's the only way I can figure out how to do that without spending too much longer, because I'm really so over this. Yeah. Okay, where? Get that one, and then next one. Oh, it printed like really small, like too small. So I'm gonna do that one more time. Print it slightly bigger, just a little bit. This one. Cancel? Where did it, okay. Well, I got that one in there. How did I do that? I got that one in there, but not the other one. That makes no sense, right? Makes no sense. Let's see if we can do that little trick again with the first one. Because I would love to get it into Picasa. Can't do it. Just won't let me. That's to see, this is why I cannot do, like, I would never be able to do the Photoshop class online. It's just like, I have no idea. I don't understand. So now I'm gonna look for my picture in here, and it's like, yeah, it's just nowhere to be found. But the other two I found. Oh, that's super frustrating. It's not that. It's oh my gosh. Now how can I save as? See, I already saved it like a couple of times. I don't really need to save it again. I need to like just be able to print it. Stupid thing. Share? No. Not really what I want to do. Oh my gosh. Ah! Print. I'm just gonna print it again. Use the same piece of paper. Maybe I should just be happy with that size. Okay, but then I'm gonna print my other three. A picture of her, and then I've lost a picture of her. One picture of her and the pictures of the other stuff. Which I seriously don't even remember what that stuff was. Here's the picture I wanted that I lightened up. Okay, and then I'm going to go into create picture collage. And now is the time when I'm like, oh, this has been going way too long. Huh. That's a good, like that could be almost like a strip with that other one. Kind of like that. I wanted it to be yeah, I'm gonna do it that way. I like it. Oh, Picasa. Picasa works most of the time. And then sometimes it just doesn't. Like that didn't work. Let's try that again. This is where I could never be a digital scrapbooker because you run into computer problems and then you just get like all stopped up. Then you can't finish and it's frustrating, and yeah, I don't want to be a digital scrapbooker for that reason. If the computer would just do exactly what I wanted it to do all of the time, we'd be cool. But it doesn't. It just doesn't. Okay, so now let's try to create that picture collage again. And here we go again. I'm not even going to mess with shuffling pictures, though I really want to. But I'm just not going to. So now I'm going to hit create collage. And it did it again. Oh, you were so annoying, Picasa. Okay, that didn't work again. So I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to do the create picture collage. I'm going to do it differently this time. You can just make a because I was doing it in a custom size because I want it to look like a film strip, and so it's not really cooperating with me. So I'm just going to go into letter size, and then instead of grid, I'm going to do picture pile, and then I'm just going to make it myself. And I'm going to remove the drop shadows. And then the tricky part with this, see, it's just, this is the, I can't really do the, I could do the film strip, but it's just going to be too hard to get it right. So I'm just going to make the collage like that. It's not really even what I wanted. That's fine. We're just going to print it. There's a different better way I could do this, but at this point I'm like getting to be so over it. Okay, so we're still going. Hour and a half. That's crazy. Now I'm just gonna cut. I'm not gonna use my trimmer. Leaving a very small white border around. So not what I wanted. Ugh. It looks horrible. It does. So I kind of hate it. Starting to hate it. Do you ever do that with a page and you just can't make it work? Ugh, this is even coming out, so I hate this. Using my paper trimmer. Alright. That looks horrible. There's a Molly Shannon movie where she's like superstar, and there's a scene where she says horrible about 50 times, and so in our family we're always quoting that movie. It's horrible. Like we're just joking, really. Now, I'm going to be tin-gunned about it. Make it work. Make it work. Oh, I super hate this. I really do. It's horrible. Oh. I hate it. Yeah. All right, this one is too big. And I also don't know, the one about the work story, I also don't know if that was part of her story. So I'm just going to put it in the article where it was. And oh, I'm so over this layout that I'm not even going to, I'm going to tack it down so you could like kind of move it up so you could still read it if you wanted to. But we're done. How's that? So it's in there, but it's not, I'm not sure that that's part of her story anyways. And I did have those arranged nicely, and now it's just getting ugly. Use a thin strip of that stripe again. I need a little extra over here. Okay, and then this is the thing when you start to get thinking too much, is just really start taping it down, and then you don't have a choice anymore. You have to make it work. And that's where like that Project Runway show is really great to watch. If you know, it's because they do get to this point where, oh, you've got to make it work. Even if it doesn't seem to be working. Like this. You know, and like the designers on Project Runway are like sewing up the models before they go out there. That's how I feel like sometimes we can get a little there with this stuff. And so then you really, I like to kind of get a little impatient with myself. And if you use a glue stick, you can't really change your mind. Because you'll stick it down and then it's stuck. And then this paper, yeah, it's adhesive. It's like adhesive fabric. It's still sticky. Alright. And ideally I would have had this paper slightly longer, but again, I'm just done. Just done. I feel like I want something here though. Maybe some of that text that was so cute. And the glue stick will allow you to like change it just a little bit. Not all the time. Okay, so I've got that there, and then the words, like I like the little house here, but oops, but not all of the words are working, so I can change a different word, get a different word, like whom. Boy, this is becoming like the most boring ever, right? Ah. Home. Okay, so I'm gonna do the journaling, and I'm gonna put my my, what do you call it? The date on there, and then it'll be done. So in less time than I watched a movie, or yeah, in less time than I watched a movie, I found a story. It wasn't like the most awesome story I've ever found, but I know a lot more right now about 1935 and my mother-in-law than I did before. So there you go. There you go, Jennifer. I hope that like sort of answered your question. If you have another question, or you want to see how I would look through Ancestry, let me know. I would love to hear your comment. Okay, bye.